Alright, second grade, so it's time for us to color. You guys at this point in your life are experts at coloring, but I still feel like it's something I need to talk to you about. So, layering. Layering is when you put two different things on top of each other, and layering is extremely important when you're talking about colors and crayons. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on layering my background, and remember, your background should always be the first thing that you color. Alright, so before I do anything, I'm going to flip my paper over on the back, and I'm going to look at some of the colors that I just picked. And I'm actually going to test them out to see exactly what they look like, to make sure that I have the colors that I want. Alright, so pretty pleased with them. I don't really like this one as much, so I'm going to put that one away, so my other classmates can use it. Alright, so now I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to figure out exactly where I'm going. So I know for myself that I don't want to color these clouds in, but I know I want to color the sky. So I'm going to start by going back and forth really lightly, and I'm going to kind of figure out the edges of where I'm going to color with this color. So I'm going to kind of outline where I'm going. Outlining it, I'm going to come here, outline that, and then all the way over there. So those are my only sky bits in this whole picture. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill them in. Remember that you can vary the pressure when you are coloring. So right now I'm coloring pretty lightly, but if I wanted to make an area darker, like maybe underneath this cloud, I can press darker or press harder with my crayon to make it darker. And then I can slowly get a little bit lighter by pressing less hard to make it less dark. So I'm going to do that underneath the tip of this ice cream cone and then underneath this cloud. Maybe I'll bring a tiny bit of blue in here and a tiny bit back there. Okay, so that's one color. I varied my pressure here, but now I'm going to layer another color on top. Now, that means I'm literally going to take a different color, and I'm actually going to use a darker color. It's always a good idea to start with your lighter color and then move on to your darker color. And I'm going to, again, vary my pressure. I'm pressing hard right now directly underneath. You have a little bit of that color come up into the cloud, and then go a little bit farther down. So again, darker underneath something, so there's a shadow created, and then varying my pressure and getting a little bit lighter. Okay, I'll do a little bit of this color up here, make it a little bit darker there. Alright. There we go. Okay, so I'm happy with my sky. Now I have my sun and no corner suns. I'm going to start with a light application of my yellow, and I'm going to come around with a little bit of orange to make it darker. Maybe I want to show that this is a sunset, so maybe I want to add just a little bit of purple. And again, before I start with the new color, I'm going to test out on the back what it looks like to make sure I think that it'll blend. And I think it'll blend really nicely. So again, I'll add a little bit of that purple up there, maybe a little bit down there, a little bit in the clouds, and a tiny bit up there. So layering doesn't mean you have to cover completely two different colors, but you're adding multiple colors to make the colors richer. Okay, so I'm done with my sky. And I'm going to move on to something like my building. Again, varying pressure helps. So I'm picking two colors for my buildings, and I'm going to testing my black, and I want to see how light I can get my black too. And then I'm testing my gray, seeing how dark it is, and then how light it can be. So I'm going to flip it back over, and now I'm going to work on my buildings. So the buildings that are farthest away are going to be darker. So I'm going to just use my black back there. And so since there aren't really any windows that you can see, outline what I'm doing so that I don't accidentally go over an area that I wasn't trying to. Notice I'm using my whole hand to go back and forth on this picture, so I get a nice, smooth, even color. And now when it's closer to this other building, I might get a little bit darker by pressing harder, and again, varying my colors. Varying my line quality and how hard I'm pressing. Alright, so I like that. I like what's going on up there. Maybe I'll show that's a lot lighter over here. And if you have windows and things like that, go around your windows. Don't be lazy and just color over them. So I'm going around. I can maybe, since it's getting lower in the picture, getting closer to the ground, maybe I'll make it a little bit darker by pressing just a little bit harder. And then even harder as it gets closer. And then finally pretty hard at the bottom. Alright. Alright, so there we go, and obviously I would color the whole thing. And when you are coloring in windows, you can just do the whole thing at once. And don't be afraid to vary your pressures in between them to really show the individual window panes. Okay, so keep doing stuff like that. You need to layer your colors. There is no question that everything in your picture has to have a layer. Again, it is easiest to start with a lighter color and work darker than it is to do the opposite. Your whole picture should be colored in, and you need to take your time. Try to get your colors to be pretty smooth. Notice that my colors, you don't really see where I changed directions. I kind of kept the same direction when I was coloring everything. That helps make a much smoother piece of artwork. But if you guys have any questions, obviously, ask. But I think you guys will be pros at this, and never forget, always layer. Start lightest first, then work darker, and always make sure you vary the pressure of your crayons. All right.